Hi, this is Oscar. Today I'm going to talk about a function in Python. The function in all the programming languages is one of the most important thing that has happened from the time that I remember from C, C++. Those were the first language that I remember. They had a function. If you write a program, it may has thousand line of the code. It's very hard to maintain all the code and say where you made a mistake. And again, certain thing that you want to make as a function, it is possible that you'll be able to reuse it again. For example, if you made a function that for calculate a number or as a calculation, you don't want to write this function to write the same code. You write it one time and you'll be able to use it many times as many places that you want to do it. Other example, for example, if you write a function and ask the user just want to put the name, you don't want to write this code again and again every time to do it. So you write as a function and you call that function to do the job for you. Let me tell you how it's going to be in Python, the function. Actually, in Python, there is three type of the function. Is one of them is build on. Build on function, we have worked with that like a print. That's a built-in function in Python. Length, we did it. And, those are the value, kind of minimum, maximum number. Those are a lot of function. And the other one is predefined. We define it as a function, what that function does, and where we are able to use it, same thing. And very simple actually is in Python, those function. The only thing that we are going to do it, we use a define function and give it a name to the function and has parentheses and a colon and start the block of the code that we want to do it. And then we call function. The other function they call lambda function because they are not declared on the standard keyword. But let me certain thing again we have to know before doing function. What's a function and what's a method? Actually, method is a refer to function. It's a part of the class of the function. You access method as an instant and object of that class. Function doesn't have this restriction. So here, okay, I define a function and name this function as a request and open close parentheses and then colon here, and here it is. I'm going to give it first name. This is a variable I requested, and then I will ask the user put their the first name. And let me do this one that I don't want to make a mistake as the underscore. That's going to be underscore. And that's going to be last name. And that's going to be last name. And then I'm going to print out. Print the first name and the last name. And then I change the variable name here. And then I give 2 space or 3 and recall this function. Recall this one. Let me run this one. It's asking me. I had to have a space here to be able to be much more. Here it is. Let me run it again. I need a space. Okay, here it is. Okay. And run it. Here it is. So this is a function. I can call this function as many times that I want to do it. So I don't have to write the same code. The only thing that I have to do is call this function and do the job for me. So this function doesn't have any parameter here, and but we can give a parameter here and then put argument inside when we recall the function. Let me do the different thing. function, this is function actually doesn't get any parameter here, no parameter here. But let me just do another function with parameter. Define a function that is adding, we call it this is an adding function, and we give two parameter, num1 and num2, two numbers here we give, and colon here, and we are going to say that num1, this variable equals itself variable 1 plus num2. Okay, then I'm going to say that print num1. Okay, so I give this function, define it, adding the name. This is going to add two numbers and print out these two numbers. Okay, this is a parameter of the function that I give them, but for defining function, here it is. I'm going to call this function adding, and let me give them number 20 and 10. See what's going to happen. So this is the argument that we are going to this parameter. See how does it work. If I run it, it's going to ask me the same thing that was before, so I can. And what happened here, I gave them two values, 20 and 10, and add these two numbers and print it for me. So it means that I do not have to call this function. I can call this function again and with different number. Here it is. Let me give 10 of this one. Let me give this one just 40 and 50. This one give make sure that it's 50 and 50 become 100. That's obvious. It's going to be that. So I can call this function anywhere, how many times that I want to do it. Okay, one thing that for sure that I have to know that when I define a function, I have to call it after that. Let me show you how it's going to be that. Okay. Whatever the name I put, it comes there. Okay. Now, if I define this function here, but let me call it above that one. See what will happen then. Again, see what's happened. So when I call a function, that function must be defined before calling that. So I have to define the function before calling that. Otherwise, it doesn't recognize it. So I have to define a function and then call it. Okay. Let's go to the next subject about the function and usability of this function. Another they call return value for the function. Before I continue, let me make a comment here. As you know that in Python we don't have multiple line comment. Only thing that we have to do this one, but make it easier. I can do it as a 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. This becomes as a comment here. Okay, as a string here. So let me take this one. Only have one of them here. Let me define another function, and I said use it define, and I can say okay. Again, I can use it multiplication. More do I say value? I give you value A and I give you value B, and return. I put return, and then I said value A that I had it multiply value B, right? And then I'm going to call this function. Have two parentheses and give the two number 10 and 20. Actually, then I have to print out this 10 and 20. For this reason, I I can do two way. I can put this mult that I call this function. I can put it in different variable. I can say mult and then print out this one. See how does it work. Here it is. Let me run it. So here 10 byte, this 20, that is add. So there's a printout of that one. So I can say that, I can say that, let me put a text here that it's Maria. So this is modification. So this is return value. So we return a value here, even if I call. Let me just call this number, just call, see what we'll have here. And I comment this one out by, let me do this one. See, there is no value, is all they multiply together right here, but there is no, unless if I write here, print, so it's going to print on the screen, but exist, there is going to be exist right there. So that is a printout of these two values. Or even if I had to return as a print here, that's a different story. But so we have a return value, we define a function, we give a name, and we give two parameters here, or three, we can do as many parameters that we want to do it, and then return a value of that one. And then we call the function here with the name and give the argument here. If I give you right now 200, so it's going to be 2000. So that is another one that we are going to do that. So we have one thing you have to make sure that we have on the function which called docstring, and means all the function and should be described how we are using that one. Let me show you how language we have to let on. There's something they call docstring, which describe what is this function does, and this is how it works. After we define a function here, I put 3 double quotation, and then I mention these two numbers, and returns numbers and return the value on it. So this is it almost should be done in all the function that we define. So we define what this function does. For next person wants, or for ourselves even, don't look at this as a very simple function. When we are going to write a code, a function be multi-lining, and it's very hard to follow up that function. What does it do? Okay, so the docstring to Python, we have to, is essential really write a function in Python. What a function, your function does as computation, what type of performance does, or if you return a value for it. Okay. A function may have a multiple argument on it, but how we are going to define the parameter on a function? For example, I define a function, and this function is we call it as a hello, and on this function I'm not sure how many argument we are going to have it. So what I do, I put for example multiple name, we assume that is going to be set and create. So this is multiple parameter I put it for the multiple argument here. So how does it work? So I can say that print this function, as I use it to print, but what I'm going to say that I'm going to say, because it's hello, and the first one I'm going to say that I have the name right there, so I put the name, but I have the first value, and again I'm going to have the probably a space here, and then let me give you a space here and put the second one, and then second one is going to be again name, and then it's going to be then separated with other one, and here I give another space and I give the third one as many as I want to do it. So let's put it two, and I have the printout, and then if I call this function, let me see it, if I call this function the hello function, name here, different argument here. Let me get the first argument is a Lucy, and the second argument I give them, and the third argument let me give them John. And when we call this, right now we called, we call this function, right? That this is the function we called it. Okay, let me run it, see how does it go. See, hello Lucy, hello Oscar, hello John. So I don't know, I can put as many here, but because I'm not sure how many parameters we have, so I can put multiple argument. If I had more than that, one is going to be, so let me change here. For example, the name, I give this one 1 and this one 0. See what will happen. See, when I see, this is the index. When I give 1, the first one 1, the first one is going to get 1. So this is start from 0, 1, 2. So I called the 1, which is this one, the first. So it's going to be, I don't know if I was able to explain it right now or not. See, this is the index 0, index 1, index 3. So like array. So when I put the argument here, this is 0, 1, 2. So if I call this one first, right now I call it, so this one comes on the right in first. So this is again another, if I have an unknown number of the argument, I'm able to put the parameters as a asterisk, the name of the parameter, and I here use as many, it depends, as many argument that I want, depends here. I can put more argument. Another type of function that we have, they call a function with parameter default value. So for example, let me see here. Let me define, and let me give this one again, this one, thing function, and I have a parameter as a name, and I can have, a default value for that name. So it's going to be guest. Okay. So then here I have print, and on this one I can say this is string that I want to say, and I give the parameter that I have here. Okay. So if I call this function, let me call this function, I call it greeting. So if I call this function, nothing inside, see what will happen. How are you guess? Print and guess, because that is default value. But if I call this function again, and I give a value to it, and this time I give the value of Lucy to it, see what will happen. How are you, Lucy? So it's default value of the here on this function, which we define as a guest. But if I enter a parameter for here, argument for it, this one is this argument is coming. But if there is no argument for here, it's going to be nothing on this function. Okay. I hope by this time you will able to, but most important thing is, I think that's a function. You define a function with a word of the define and give you a name. The name, the best one is going to be, I said, all the naming of the in Python that makes sense. And we have parameter, no parameter on that one, return value, no return value. Then we call the function. The function that we name it is actually built in Python, like a print, length, maximum, minimum. Those are built in on Python, and some of them that we have to create those function for our use. And the other one that we have Lambda, that I'm going to talk about the next section. So the function is by the word of define a function, name it, open parentheses, and if there is any parameter that we want to do, we do it here, then close parentheses, and then colon, and have as many statement here as for us we went all this fine. Here we have to make sure there's a block of code is going to be here. So if I just put a return, it's going to be right after the print. And when we have 2 or 3 space after that, and then start again from the first line, no indenting here, then new source of code or new instruction be executed at this point. Hopefully you enjoy it. Just practice the function.